Science shows that there's not just one time in the day where you're the most productive. That's a myth. In reality, everyone has a hard-coded peak performance window, a time of day where your productivity blows through the roof. And if you can discover and work within it, your performance will skyrocket. Now tell me if this sounds like you. Your first hour or two of work is sharp and clear, you're creative, thinking without constraints. But fast forward a couple of hours, your brain starts to lag, the fogginess rolls in. You're more susceptible to distractions as checking your phone becomes increasingly irresistible. Hour by hour, your day devolves into scrolling and procrastination. Now it's easy to dumb this down to an issue with your discipline or your work ethic. The real culprit is not a flaw in your character, but instead a biological timing issue. Because our cognitive abilities do not stay the same throughout the day. We are smarter, dimmer, more or less creative at different times, which means that certain tasks are best done at those certain times. But what drives these shifts in performance? Herein enters chronobiology. So imagine for a moment that you're being lowered into a dark cave, where your only company was the faint pattering of water from a nearby stalactite. Well, somebody actually did, and it revolutionized the way we think about modern psychology. His name was Michael Cifra, and in 1975, he took it upon himself to live underground in a cave for 63 days, his only source of light being the faint and fleeting glow of his torch. It was originally intended as an exploration mission, but the most peculiar thing ended up happening instead. The man's sleep, even without direct sunlight, was able to maintain a semi-regular pattern. This was revolutionary at the time, because the prevalent theory was that our sleep-wake cycle was governed by the sun. But this study told us otherwise. And this led to the discovery that our bodies maintain an internal rhythm without external influences. Further experiments on this mysterious rhythm found some astounding results. But in particular, they formed the theory of the internal clock, or ultradian rhythm, that cycles 3 to 4 times a day, governing a bunch of cyclical actions, including your energy levels, hunger, focus, and attention. These ideas gave way to the theory of chronotypes, hard-coded fluctuations in energy unique to every human being that determine your focus, alertness, and hence your productivity at any given time in a day. It's governed by your internal rhythms, shaped by genetics, lifestyle, and a bunch of other things, and is in practice an outward manifestation of your ultradian rhythm. 3 general chronotypes have emerged from scientific research, but they also found something much more useful for bolstering modern-day productivity. In a study measuring participants' cognitive performance across a 24-hour period, it was found that there were specific points in the day where they were prone to performing better on their tests. Things like cognitive skills, memory and reaction time, and attention span were all shown to be at their peak during this period of peak performance, which is now known as the chronotype zone. This is where your energy levels are at their highest. The large presence of beta and gamma waves increase cognitive output, meaning that you will achieve deeper work more easily. But when your energy levels are low, you're prey to distractions, procrastination, and general lethargicness. So to achieve deeper and more productive work sessions, you want to time your work for when you're close to or at this natural peak in energy. But the trouble is that most of us decide to work outside of this optimal zone of work that nature gives us for free. Most animals will naturally submit to their internal rhythms. The dog sleeps when it's tired, the lion rests after it eats, and the owl hunts at night. But humans have these things: massive prefrontal cortices. It's a blessing in that it gives us high levels of self-consciousness, decision-making, and problem-solving skills. But it's also able to delay sleep and force us to work outside our natural chronotype. This ultimately ends up destroying our peak performance potential. So instead of killing off your brain cells, unlocking parallel productivity during your work sessions is instead about working during your chronotype zones. There are generally 3 chronotypes that have emerged from research. You have the larks, the early risers, waking up at around 6 AM. Then you have the owls, who stay up and wake up late, around 10 AM. And you have the middle miners, waking up at around 8 AM. And to find out where on the spectrum you sit, it only takes a 5-minute exercise. Imagine yourself on an island in Thailand with no obligations, no caffeine, no work arrangements. During this time, you're fully in tune with your natural body clock that your genetics have set out for you. Now answer this question. When there are no changes in your schedule, what times do you naturally go to bed and then wake up? From there, you want to determine the midpoint between those times. Pause the video and think about that now. If your midpoint sits at 3:30 a.m. or earlier, you're a lark, which is the rarest at around 10% of the population. If it's 5:30 p.m. or later, you're a night owl, which is a bit more common at around 25%. If you're somewhere in between, you're a middle miner at around 55% of the population. From here, you can now determine your chronotype zone unique to your chronotype. For larks, it's in the early morning from around 4 to 10 a.m. For owls, you're at the opposite end of the day, from around 4 to 9 p.m. And the middle miners are somewhere in the middle, ranging from the late morning to around the early afternoon. Keep in mind that these are just a set of rough guidelines for each chronotype. Beyond that, it's simply a game of observing your natural energy pattern throughout the day. But don't go underestimating its importance. Trying to tackle tasks at the wrong time for your chronotype is like sprinting upstairs when you could have taken the elevator. But even so, most people do choose to take those stairs. And that's not just inefficient, but actually counterproductive. When you work while you're in your energy trough, you'll make mistakes that you'll end up having to fix later that wouldn't have even happened if you were working at the right time. But if you only work during your chronotype zone, you feel like you're flying. Thoughts flow seamlessly, creativity has never been easier, and you're nailing all your tasks in record time. It's honestly the easiest way to harness crazy levels of productivity, and it's available to every single person on the planet. But with that said, our days aren't always able to accommodate our chronotype zones. So to avoid this turning into procrastination, we had to know when and how to manipulate our energy levels when we don't have our ultradian rhythm on our side, which is exactly what this video right here will teach you how to do. So go take a look at that. Thanks for watching and have a good day.